Hi, it's Deneen, and I'm here to share with you my fifth spread from the Allie Edwards Labels Scrapbook Kit. And I'm going to begin by showing you something that I've done in Photoshop Elements, and then I will continue on after that, showing you how I put my actual spread together. Thanks for joining me. I pulled up the digital version of the various labels with text paper, and I was considering using these in my spread. And I'm not really sure if I like the idea of the rectangular shape on top of the label shapes of the paper that I'm using. So I was thinking that I would experiment with maybe doing some circles. So I just wanted to show you how I'm going to do this. And once again, my little disclaimer, not an expert, just trying to show you how I do things. So I'm going to go over here. I'm going to click on the Magic Eraser tool, and I have the tool selected that's going to take out my background. My tolerance is at 25, and I only have the middle box checked. And then I just kind of go over and I just click on the white portion. And that's only going to remove the white background. And that'll just make it easier for me to isolate the tags that I'm interested in using. So I'm not really sure what tags I want to use, so I'll just pick a couple out. I'm going to select the rectangular marquee tool, and I am going to just choose, let's see, we'll choose this tag. So I will just move my marquee tool around it, and then I will do layer, new, and I always do copy. So that if I hide the background is just that simple piece right there. I will select the background so I can choose another tag. I'm thinking this such a fun time tag. So I will select that. And once again, layer, new, layer via copy. So now I have two tags, going back and selecting the layer 0, and maybe this one here that says love. Not really sure, but those are kind of like the three similar shapes. So I will select that with my marquee tool, layer, new, layer via copy, and now I have, if I hide the background, I have those three tags isolated. And you can see if I click on each one of them, they are a separate layer. And then the rest of them, I could just, if I decide later that I want to maybe use something different, I can go ahead and pull one of them up. But in the meantime, I have opened or created a 4x6 canvas in my Photoshop Elements. And I'm going to select, so I'll put, if you can see up here in the corner, I'm going to hit select. If I hold down my shift key, I'll be able to select the three of those, and then I will do layer, duplicate layers, and that document is called Idea 4A. And then they will move here. And there they are. So they're all attached together until I click outside of them, and now I have the separate pieces to work with. My idea is that I want to make these into circles. And one of the items that I am going to be using on my spread is a logo from the restaurant that we had been to this particular evening. And I measured the circle, and it's about 2¼ inch around. So I was thinking, is there a way for me to combine these into circles digitally and then have circles on top of my labels? And so I'm going to give it a shot. I'm going to move these to the side. I will work with this one first. So I will go over to the ellipse tool, and I will choose fixed size, and my size is 2¼ by 2¼ and I will create a circle. Now, since I want this to be on top of this, and I don't want it to look like a tag or a label, I just want it to blend in. So I will go over here to my color picker tool, and I will choose this peachy color, and then I will use my paint bucket tool in order to color in the circle. If I drag this over the circle, you now see that it is a circle. And I could merge those and then print this out when I am done and use my 2 1/4 inch circle punch to punch it out. So I think that's what my plan is. I am going to do the same thing for both of these tags as well. All right, so let's move this one to the side and I'll just do this 2 more times. Okay, so what I'm noticing here is that my tag has, or seems to, and I'm going to zoom in just to check, it seems to have a little very, very tiny white border around it, which I could easily get rid of if I make sure the tag is selected and then I go to my bucket tool and I just do that a little bit here. Just click the paint bucket tool and that takes away any white line that might have been residual from when I did the cut off the paper. And then you take a look at it. If you're happy with it, you can commit it. You could move it around a little bit if you want it to be more in the center. These little edges hanging off here, if you go ahead and over to the layers palette or the layers menu over here, you can see that one is on top of the other. If you hold down the option key, you can combine those two and then the edges will no longer be sticking off. Also too, once you're happy with it, you can select both of those items and then do layer, merge layers, and now they have become one separate layer. You can do the same thing with these as well. Let's see, let's drag this over here so we can see the whole thing. If I zoom in on this, I am also noticing a little bit of a white border there too. So I will select the tag. Well, actually, first of all, I need to do the color picker so I get it the right color. And then I will select the tag and then use my paint bucket tool to just kind of, yeah. So just 2 clicks and it kind of took away that little white border. I'm happy with where that is. So I will select these 2 shapes and then I will do layer, merge layers. So then that one's out of the way and then I'll scroll down here and this one stands out the most, right? Because it's such a dark colored blue. So once again, I will use my color picker tool, choose that color. Okay, so now they're both there. And I want to select this one and let's see. I don't want to make that thankful disappear too much. As I'm adding more blue, it's getting a little bit harder to see. Again, there may certainly be a better way to do that, but I generally do it in this way. Oops. So now I have these 3 pieces here. They are on a 4x6. Pardon all my errors today. And I could go ahead and print them on a piece of photo paper. If I want to, I could add some text into these boxes before I print or text into these boxes. Not really sure yet, but I just wanted to give you an idea of how this looks. Alrighty, let's move on to the next step. So let's start talking a little bit about how to put my spread together. This is my original sketch, and I decided to change things up a bit, per usual. So I decided that I was going to still do photos in the shape of the label, but I didn't want to do 2 pages of the labels. What I ended up doing was printing out 6 photos and I used the shape of the label from the digital kit to mask off my photos. And then I printed them out so that they are already in the shape of the label. And then all I really have to do is take my scissors and fussy cut around them. So those are the photos. Additionally, you saw on the video earlier that I created some circle labels, and I do have the 3 of those here. I may only use 2 of them, but I did create 3 so I can decide. And if you look, I'm sure you could see a little bit closer. I did end up putting some words in that label, so we'll see if I use that one. I also ended up putting some words in that label as well. And then this one was just the circle. And I think I originally sized them to, I think 2 1/4. And I ended up resizing them and cutting them down to, I think I resized them to 1 3/4 inches. And then I punched them out with the 2-inch circle punch. And I like the way that the label looks on top of the other label that's a little bit smaller. And I kind of patterned it off of this particular piece here that was the logo from the pub that we went to. And I already printed this out and then cut it out in the shape of the label. And I think I ended up resizing because I wanted the circle here to kind of be very much like the circle there. So that's how I ended up doing that. I also went ahead and did my journaling, and I chose to do 2 labels with words on them. Again, I usually print these out right from Photoshop Elements. So I pull the digital version into Photoshop Elements, I do the typing, and then I run the paper through my printer with the background hidden. So then I only get the words on here. So I kind of like the way that turned out as well. And what I will end up doing now is I will fussy cut all 6 of these out. I'm not sure how many of the empty ones I will use. Didn't get that far yet, but I'm going to fussy cut all of them out. And because I'm cutting them out, I need a background for them. And so originally this was the paper I was going to use. So I do still have that out. I think what I'll do is just see how they look on top of this paper. I was thinking that this pattern might be a little bit too busy and a little bit too colorful for my photos. If you take a look here, you'll see my photos are, there's not a lot of pastels in them. It was a little bit of a dark place that we were at. So the photos are of a darker nature. And so what I did, just in case, was I printed out the digital version of this paper. And I already used the physical paper in another spread. But that is the beauty of having the digital kit along with the physical kit. You are able to use a pattern, a paper, or an element as many times as you would like. So that may end up being my background. I won't really know until I fussy cut everything out and then I kind of put it on top of there to see what it looks like. My full page photo, which is going to be over here, is enlarged. And if you can see close right here, I put a tiny, tiny, tiny piece of word art, Moments of Delight. So that's all that's on this page right now. But I do anticipate filling this side here. And yeah, so let me do some fussy cutting and then I will come back and figure out how I'm going to put all of this together. So I finished fussy cutting everything out. And again, I have my 2 journaling spots and those will definitely make it on the page. And then I cut out 3 of the other labels. And I think the only one that I left behind was the lavender one. And I definitely have more of everything than I need. So I'm going to have to make some decisions here. So those are the 3 blank labels. And I fussy cut out pictures. Again, I have more pictures than what I need. I think I was just kind of going back and forth between, what pictures did I want? Were these too similar? Did I want 2 pictures of us? Did I want a picture of the food? And so I wasn't sure. So I just went ahead and printed all of those out. Once again, I have the logo from the pub that we were at, and then I have my 3 label circles. And so now becomes, a moment where I have to figure out, what background paper do I want to use? So I'm not going to do this in any way that is definite, but my intention was to fill this side of the full page photo with some of these labels. So I was thinking one, and then maybe the journaling, and then a photo. So I thought I might use this photo, not quite sure yet, but I will put them on there like that. And then over here, I was planning on putting 6 additional labels. And so again, just putting them down randomly and using this bright paper as a background. Let's see. I guess I should probably intermingle some photos. So let's just put that photo there and maybe another color here. And another photo, perhaps this photo up here. And I think I might want my journaling down there. I think, not really sure. And then I'm thinking, do I want a 4th photo? Or do I want, well, I guess I could, well, let's put another block here. All right, so this is the kind of idea I was looking at. And then I thought, do I want to push these up against the edge of the page? So I know that holes would end up being punched in them, but I'm okay with that because I was thinking I would push everything right up against each other, like this, this, and like this. And I would have everything super close to each other. So that was another thing that I was thinking of doing as well. And I kind of like the way that looks with a little bit of space over here. The main focal point of my photo on this side. And then I would put, and this is where I kind of got lost. Let's see, if I were to use, so, I wouldn't want to put these 2 circles next to each other. So perhaps I would put, yeah, so I'm going to have to sit down and think about this, and maybe I'll move things around a little bit, and hopefully I'll come up with a plan. This might be how I choose to do things. And I was thinking along the lines of, with the 3 circles kind of guiding your eyes through the spread, beginning with my journaling over here and then ending with it over here. So that's kind of what I was thinking. This would make me not use this one. I could always flip one out, take this one away and put this one in. Could do that. And I think I was good with this photo here being a nice broad photo of the bar, and I didn't need this one. And then I thought, geez, which one of the photos do I want to do of us? And this is the general pose that we are in most of my photos. And I thought that one was a little bit different. So I was thinking I would go with that. So then the last thing that I want to think of is, do I like this background? And I think what I need to do in order to see is use this one instead and kind of get myself a comparison. So I'm just going to swap out this very brightly colored background for this very plain background. So let's try to get those in there and see what that looks like. I think this one went down here. No, this one went over here. So there's how it will look with that more muted background. And looking at it, I really do think I kind of like that muted background a little bit better than the brightly colored I guess they're asterisks. And so it's not that I don't like this, but I'm just thinking that this plain background goes a little bit more with my current theme and my current color scheme. And I think it kind of makes my labels pop a little bit more. It doesn't show the white lining around the photos as much because I did cut around so that there was a white edge. So it doesn't show that nearly as much. Perhaps if I reprint this and on Photoshop, go ahead and maybe darken this pattern, because I could always go in and use the tools to print this out so that it's not light like it is, but that it's actually a little bit darker. So maybe I'll try that. And what I'm thinking while I'm doing this is if I don't use this piece for this spread, it's available for something else. And the same goes with this. So nothing is ever wasted, because I could put these in my folders, and then when I'm looking for another background for something different, I can always use them another time. So I'm going to go ahead and print out a darker version of this particular paper just to see how that looks. Alrighty, so I darkened up that particular paper, and I don't know if you can tell here, but this is what it looks like. Now, if I were to move this over, let's just move this over and put this here, you could probably see the color difference very, very distinctly. I just went into my Photoshop Elements. I have an add-on called RadLab, and I just kind of turned the lights out on it, so to speak. And I really do think that that might help it to pop a little bit more from the page. I don't know, so I'm going to try it. I'll just kind of transfer everything over to here, see how that is. Maybe I'll like it, maybe I won't. We will see. Once I get everything on there, I'll put both pages next to each other and then kind of take a look and see what I like better. So that's what it looks like with the paper turned a little bit darker. And I think I might like that a little bit better. I think I'm going to go with that one. And I also definitely think I'm going to go ahead and put everything right up close to the edge. And then I will figure out how I want to adhere everything on here. You know, I'm a big, huge fan of foam squares. So that's something that I was thinking about doing. I wasn't sure. I know I definitely will not put all of them up on foam squares, but I was thinking that I would put a couple of them up, maybe 2 or 3 or 4. I was also thinking that on these, I would not put the label up on foam squares, but then I would put the circles up on foam squares. So that's another option as well. And so, yeah, so I guess I should get started putting everything together. And as I'm kind of moving along here, I will make my decisions about the foam squares. But I definitely think I'm like 99% sure that I'm going to go with this darker background. I don't know. I'm still not 100%. So I think if I mess around a little bit more, I'll be able to figure that out. So there is my first page, and as you can see from what I was doing, I went ahead and adhered down the top and bottom labels with permanent adhesive, and then I used removable adhesive to adhere it to the photo so that I could see where the holes were going to punch through the labels. And it turns out that because that one is right smack dab in the middle, it wasn't touched at all by the holes. So then I pulled it up and I put some foam adhesive squares underneath. So I think I like the way that looks. And with this page now, I will have to go and figure out what other labels I want to use with the foam squares, as well as whether or not I truly want to stick with this particular paper. So I'm going to start putting that together and we'll see what happens. So I'm kind of looking at that, and I think I made the right decision. And if I didn't, then it is what it is, because it's all adhered down permanently. And so what I ended up doing was I chose 3 of the labels to put up on foam squares. So the both journaling boxes, or the both journaling labels, are up on foam squares. And then I chose this photo to also be up on foam squares. These 2 labels I adhered down with permanent adhesive, and then I went ahead and adhered the 2 circles with foam squares. And I know it's not always easy to tell that things are up on foam squares. You could look that way. There's just something about the way it looks to me, and I realize that most people probably don't pay much attention to that, but I just have so much fun doing it. All right, so I'm going to sit and take a quick look at this to see if there's anything else I may want to add to it. I know for sure I have to get my date stamp out and put my date somewhere, so I'm going to do that. And I think I'll probably be calling it done very, very shortly, if not already. I think I'm ready to call this done. And I'll just show you what I did is just a couple simple things, because I think I mentioned before that I love to embellish, and I had to stop myself before I started to really over embellish. But all I added was 3 little phrase stickers here. I moved this one around so much that it's coming up already. And then by each of those, I added a tiny puffy asterisk. So there are 1, 2, 3 of those. And then also over here on this page, I put a tiny asterisk here, and then my date down here. And so I don't know, these are puffy asterisks from Allie Edwards, and I'm not sure how old they are, but I know I've had them in my stash for a while. They're always fun to have around. And then the phrase stickers are coming from Tim Holtz, and these are called Small Talk. And this has just a book full of phrases in black and white. I know they still have these because I saw them recently in my local Joann's Crafts. So if you're interested in that, you could probably, excuse me, pick that up there, or probably on Amazon, or just about anywhere. But I think they're fun as well. So this is my finished page, or my finished spread, and I'm pretty happy with how it turned out. If you have any questions, please feel free, reach out. I absolutely will be happy to answer them. And thank you for joining me on, I believe, what is the 5th spread for the Allie Edwards Design Scrapbook Labels Kit. And I have 1 more to go. If you have any questions, again, reach out, and I hope everybody has a totally awesome day.